Hey, y'all, welcome to week one of Heat of the Week with me and Emerson. We are going to go over each week. We're going to go over three different games and talk about something Heat that happens, either a play or a move set or EVs, whatever it is each week. We'll keep it flexible. And on weeks when it's like conference matchups, we'll try to highlight one Heat performance from each of the divisions. So first up, as you see, this is the X division, and we're gonna highlight Lord Admiral's move sets. So yeah, let's look at it. Maybe Emerson, if you want to maybe point out some things that we're going to look at, or we could just press play. It's up to you.
Yeah, we're mainly kind of looking at how Chris uses Blaziken and then a special surprise in the middle that we found was very heat. So let's just get started with watching the match.
And up front, I'll just say that Chris is probably the heatest team builder of them all.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily always mean that it works in their favor, but
Number one,
I
look
think
at how much that freeze dry
freeze-dry
did to Blaziken. Like,
resisted. Yeah, that's
wild.
awesome. All right, so here we see. I think the first sort of point towards Heat of the Week goes to this power up Blaziken set. So in one turn, we're able to get +1 attack and a speed boost at the end of the turn. So it's basically a Dragon Dance set. So that power up punch into Flare Blitz, I think, is some pretty cool tech to get the +1 attack and the +1 speed early on in the game. We're turn two and we're already set up to do some huge damage.
This poor Clefable. yeah. I like when I was watching this for the first time, I was like, how did they get this attack boost? So that
you watch on like plus speed, or like
yeah.
you watch your games fast. You're like, yeah, it can.
Oh, the Flare Blitz doing 75.
Yeah, incredible. And that means that it might not, just depending on the rolls, it might not have actually been able to hit KO without without the boost. So
Right.
that +1 attack actually came into play. And here we just see the double fighting moves with power up punch and close combat is huge. Take out massive chunk on the side guard. Again, only able to do over 50% because of that power up punch. So Blaziken goes down turn 5, but it did more than 1.5 Pokemon's worth of damage on its way out.
That's like the definition of breaking,
Yep.
Just click buttons till you die.
Yep. And killing the Clefable, which could be huge late game with the Lottie and the Zarude in the back. Glalie coming in, doing a lot, missing a Super Fang. And the Drain Punch is the killer here, and we see the Zygarde into the Eel.
Oh my god, the Shuka Berry. That's so cool. I know Chris talked about that in the replays discussion, but seriously, what incredible. Cool tech.
Yep. Just being able to tank 1,000 arrows, recognizing the levitate ability, and like this is what Draft League is about building for your opponent. So up until now, this is like the strongest contender for Heat of the Week. You're seeing the Thunder Wave here to stop any type of setup from the Mew. Still going to try to boost through that. Yeah, this Eel set plus the Blaziken set really shines in the first part and the middle part of the game.
Drain Punch, Dragon Claw, Thunderwave, Coil. That's so cool.
Yep. And then here we see some good Zarude action going into the Lottie.
The Bug Buzz call on the Iron Moth. Right. I guess you hit the Zarude as well as the Lottie, but like what a good move to have on the Moth this week for Ben.
So Chris switches into the Togekiss, has to take the Bug Buzz and Discharge as a way to for coverage moves is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And here this kind of just ends up being some you can skip through a lot of this. Right now it's just some stall tactics on Chris's part, but when we get the Celesteela in, we're wasting a bunch of air slashes. This eventually gets leech seeded. Yeah, this will go down.
Yeah, this Celesteela is looking real strong.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of stalling, getting back like all of its health from its leftovers.
Yeah, it's not gonna. And then eventually it becomes I don't know if it's a 1v1 but there ends up being this matchup between the I mean, this lasts forever. You can just fast forward through all of this because air slashes are doing less damage than the recovery.
It's like it's wild to watch though.
Recovering health.
So yeah, eventually the Togekiss goes down because of this crit.
Yeah, first
heavy slam back there.
First heavy slam to really do a bunch, but here's where I feel like Chris maybe overcooked a bit, and I need to like maybe dive into the matchup to see why the Lottie had Rocky Helmet on it. Because at this point, like the way that the game played out is the initial breaking from the Blaziken into the eel was like both very creative sets that ended up mattering. And here I'm just a little bit curious. You're running a Calm Mind Lottie set, which to me says more damage. And so I'm wondering if either it's like Soul Dew, whatever item, or some like offensive item would have actually helped Lottie break through the Celesteela and actually clean up at the end. But it feels a little bit like the Rocky Helmet was a bit of an overcook. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I'm trying to see. I don't remember what or if it probably has some attacking move, but all we see really is recover and Calm Mind. I don't think that any other moves are revealed. Yeah, until the end here, and then that one heavy slam crit
just might crit. I think it eventually loses out. So still I think Chris deserves the nomination for their build. That's not only is that 3 Pokemon with pretty unique sets, but 2 of those were really fun and I think really highlighted how Draft League is different than Smogon singles. You can like really titrate your team for your opponent. So good job, Chris, on the nomination for week 1 for the X Division Heat of the Week.
Yep. All right, let's go into the Y Division, which is this game between Kyle and Paco. And spoiler alert, we are nominating Kyle for Heat of the Week for the Y Division. We're going to be looking at his Torn set as well as the Klefki, and just kind of also this, sneaky little guy here that's kind of hiding behind the big ass Terrakion.
Yeah, the bears, whatever the fuck Terrakion is.
Yeah, so let's get started with this one. Good lead.
Yeah, this was a dedicated lead on my part. It's just Focus Sash, and I think looked well against the Rockers.
So here we have Delmise coming in.
And really, this was kind of the reason for it. I knew that Delmise looked good into the Bronzong and also was able to get off rapid spins because I don't think Annihilate the Ghost versus Ghost. I think I will take that trade all the time.
Right.
So I could use that as a good rapid spinner for my team this week.
So first of all, we have Trick Room on the Klefki, which is super heat in my opinion. I don't even know if I remembered that Klefki got Trick Room, to be honest.
Yeah, prankster negative priority, like -8 priority plus prankster means it's a -7. It's the fastest Trick
my
Room
God.
in the game.
And then we have this tech, this fairy lock tech. Do you wanna talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, fairy lock is a unique move for Klefki. It means that the next turn, neither Pokemon is allowed to neither opponent is allowed to select to switch out the Pokemon. Um, and so there's a couple times in the match where I'll use it, and it's mainly to just get me in favorable matchups. So if I think that I think it might have been there, or you might see it later too. I tried a fairy lock onto the what's the Metal Dawn fan, Iron Treads,
Mm-hmm.
hoping that they're just gonna earthquake my Klefki, and then on the next turn when I bring in my Revenge Killer, they're not allowed to switch it out.
Ooh.
So that's kind of the point of that move.
So this was wild. This is a +2 Bronzong and +2 defense. And this anchor thing doing 58% like through the boosts. What?
Yeah.
Okay. What didn't you say that Dhelmise's attack stat, like it's one of the strongest poltergeist users like in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, it's like if you like just look at the ghost types that have poltergeist, the only things that are stronger than that are like oh gosh, it might just be the Banette. I don't know for sure, but it's definitely one of the strongest and definitely the most relevant of the poltergeist
Yeah.
Pokemon.
And you also had the trapping move on Dhelmise, the anchor shot. It's kind of like a double trapping sort of thing.
Yep.
This wish pass into the Bronzong was a bit scary.
Oh, I know. I think kind of my downfall was all the, especially with the Bronzong with the toxic, because my switch in is always Dhelmise and I don't have good recovery, and then this thing just keeps getting wished back.
I feel like Dhelmise should get recover. It just seems like it should.
I think it might get synthesis.
Oh.
I think it does get synthesis, but
there's that poltergeist again doing over 50 to the
right to double Bronzong. And I get it low enough here where I can revenge with my bear.
Yeah.
Ursaluna Blood Moon. I think I can just click Blood Moon, get the resist. I have to use it because I think my only other move.
It's also very funny to be saying that Blood Moon is revenging because it's so slow, but it's actually not as slow as I would think it would be. I think it's faster than regular Ursaluna.
Yeah. It's in the 50s, I think 52. So it's definitely like at a speed where you could titrate it up to like be faster than a lot of the like the 60 base power walls and stuff.
So here's your Torn that gets in. Oh, and I didn't even realize this. The Torn versus Torn.
Yep.
Hey, yo. And then we have the Prankster bulk up.
Prankster bulk up plus Prankster sub.
Prankster sub. So then the knockoff doesn't break the
way that I
sub.
had it, yeah, the EV spread that I had it was that it was a multiple of 4, so that when I came in on rocks, it did a quarter of my health. So after I substitute, I went down to 50%, and it activated my citrus berry.
Yeah, because that was like immediate. That was wild.
Yeah, so that was definitely intentional, and it worked out here because I was able to outspeed.
And then because you use your berry, then your acrobatics is boosted.
So my goal was
the crit.
Yeah, my goal was always to substitute so that it put me in citrus berry range, so I could spam acrobatics. And then this Primarina has just an allergy to acrobatics and gets crit twice. Spoiler: gets crit twice by acrobatics. Once there and then once later.
Look at this, like all pink field, pink,
Right.
pink.
Oh my gosh. And here I don't really have my only sort of out is to get my Roaring Moon in on the Chansey in hopes that I can set up, and I got it in on the last turn of Trick Room, but they're able to switch into their like basically no HP Primarina and Wish Pass it
all the
nearly
way
back to
almost
full.
back up. Yeah.
And I only win the game because this crits. I literally can't win the game. This Choice Scarf Annihilate close combat. Everything is in range of close combat at that point. So um, maybe where Chris overcooked, I won with a little bit of luck
Yeah.
this week. So maybe -1 point for Heat of the Week nomination.
Yeah, and you know, Paco played great. The crits on the Prim were unfortunate, but also like saving your Annihilate till the end once everything was chipped and the Torn was gone. Right. And yeah.
I felt like I did the same thing, and then the friggin' Primarina went from literally dead to full health.
So scary.
I was like, all right, everything's in range of +1 acro. And then, technically still was after the crit, but...
All right.
Last but not least, we have the ZA division. We're highlighting this game between Pink Floofles and Brian, 3 Names Jr., something Swalot, and Shrimp Heaven now.
Yeah.
And this matchup, we're really focusing on Brian's team. We might be able to play this one at a faster speed, just because.
Oh no! I don't know if you all could you hear that?
Oh, I heard it.
Oh my god! I hate it so much. I wish that there was a mute always, never sound on, never ever.
But so here you might be able to speed it up because a lot of this match is just like kind of like a war of attrition that Brian's kind of winning. And
I think the rocks up early was really a good choice by Brian. Because I do think Floofles, like you have a Volt Turn team, you know?
Right.
And so anything
there's some longevity with the Regenerator plus Rotom Core.
Yeah.
But here's something interesting. You get this is Poison Touch Sneasler.
Yep.
Which most of the time means, all right, now this Dragonite doesn't have an ability.
Here's the beginning of the heat, right? Yeah. The heal bell.
So this heal bell is so essential because as long as this Dragonite is not able to get to 100 HP because it's poisoned, it loses its ability multi-scale. So yeah, you can click ahead. Like I said, there's a lot of this is just like a slow, patient play, kind of maybe fishing for some burns there, getting off some leech seeds. It seems to cycle through whether or not we're gonna leech seed or we're gonna stealth rock. And
so we got Roost.
Back to full. Yep.
Brian's very smart in just keeping that preserved of keeping that piece no matter what.
And in my head, I'm thinking this helps make sure that the Tapu Lele doesn't Oko it. It'll always take one as long as it has multi-scale.
So we're still just kind of swapping around. Notably, Floofles did get the rocks off of his side. But is this where does Ferrothorn set up the rocks again?
It happens a few times. Either Leech Seed or Rocks come in. Yeah, Stealth Rock again. Maybe this is a switch into Moltres. Oh no, this is just taking the damage.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the body press was a good choice.
Three Pokemon on Shrimp Heaven Now's team have body press: the Swalot, the Ferrothorn, and the Dragonite.
Okay, I didn't realize that until now. That's pretty awesome.
Very much trying to make sure that the Excadrill is punished.
We have the poison again on the Dragonite, threatening its multi-scale.
Yep.
Has to switch out here, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, both swap. And this was actually a great play by Pink Floofles to try to bring in Steezler on the Ferrothorn, knowing that it was going to come in on the Tapu Lele.
Okay, that was pretty cool. Swallow getting a kill.
Yep, and they're pretty free to click that now that the extra drill is gone, because previously they kept clicking things like body press, and now they can kind of click the stab moves.
I do love to see Armoroge and the not electric terrain, the psychic terrain. This is one of my favorite Pokemon.
And watching this matchup, this Armoroge would be heat of the week. You'll see later in the matchup that like it becomes like a 1vx where the Armoroge is the last Pokemon standing. And it has such a good like a good chance of winning the rest of the game.
Yeah.
All right, so Dragonite back at 50%. The Endure comes out
on the roost. That was a good play by Brian.
Right, yeah. The chip is lower because that was the first turn of poison.
Heal Bell.
Heal Bell it there.
There it is again.
See, this Dragonite gets to 50% like 5 times, or maybe not exactly 5. Also toxic on the Tangrowth, so the Sneasler I think poisons it twice through Poison Touch, and then it's also toxic poisoned later. But Brian's kind of pretty diligent about keeping it multi-scale.
Here we've got a poison here too. U-turn. Ferrothorn's back, probably to set up rocks, right?
Yep, or Leech Seed. Wisp miss. Unfortunate, but not necessary. I mean, I don't think Ferrothorn's really clicking many attacks. Connects here.
Oof.
Oh, the pump miss does suck. And you can skip ahead. Like the next thing that's kind of important is when it gets down when it gets out of Floofle's last Pokemon. Or here, I guess. This is where kind of like I think all everything is like, oh no, yeah, there actually does switch out one more time.
Mega Diancie's finally in.
Yep.
Goodbye, Ferrothorn.
You gotta love though, just like, all right, you did your job.
Yeah.
Kill the thing with your ability. I don't think it clicked an attacking move the whole game, and it basically gets a kill.
Oh, this poor Tangrowth.
Oh no, physical Tangrowth goes down to that.
Yeah.
And then here is just literally though, at this point when I was watching the game, I was like, Floofles could do it.
Yes.
Like this is kind of the setup you want. And if you pause the game here, if Dragonite was not at full HP,
I think Floofles wins, right?
Well, now we know too that Brian doesn't have a priority move on the thingy, Urshifu. It doesn't have Aqua Jet. So like literally, even if the like Dragonite was at 99%, this thing is set up to sweep.
Mm-hmm.
But as you'll see, Dragonite's multi-scale is still intact after like being poisoned 3 times and getting under 50% that many times. So that this expanding force does not do enough. I think it, like looking at that damage, it looked like Dragonite had to be at like 80%.
Yeah.
For expanding force to kill, or be under like 99% and under psychic terrain. But holy cow, that thing like probably in total lost like 220% of its HP over the course of the match.
I just even want to see how many times Heal Bell was clicked. 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they were all so crucial.
Yeah, every roost, every Heal Bell ended up making it possible for Brian to win that matchup, which is cool because the team wasn't really set up to be like, you might see the Heal Bell roost on like a stall Dragonite, and how the game played out really played into that sort of like the long game. This I think was the longest amount of turns, week one. But looking at like the team in general, it wasn't like a stall matchup.
Right.
But it was the perfect Dragonite for what Pink Floofles brought, and I think it for that reason deserves Heat of the Week.
Oh yeah.
I think it gets so out of those three, we had Chris's. Um, Chris got a nomination for both the Blaziken and the Shuckaberry on the eel. I got Emerson nominated me for the bulk up Torn set with the citrus berry and then the Fairy Lock Trick Room Klefkes. But at least for me, this wins the overall Heat of the Week just because I lucked my win. Some of Chris, I think Chris overcooked a bit, but this was the perfect balance between heat and what is it going to take for me to win the game.
Yeah, I just think the definition of heat is something unexpected. And I don't remember the last time I've seen a Heal Bell Dragonite, and it just works so well in this game. And I think as well, Brian thinking about the big picture, seeing the matrix as we call it, and knowing that he has to keep this Dragonite healthy, and then it can really take on pretty much anything.
Right.
So, yeah, some great heat matches. But congrats to all three of those coaches, and mega congrats to Brian for being the most heat.
Yeah, Brian gets the first ribbon for Heat of the Week. We'll see at the end of the season who gets crowned the seasoned chef. I don't know. We haven't talked about that.
Yeah, something like that.
we'll come up with a fun name for the person that gets the most number of Heat of the Weeks. And like I said in episode 1, if you reach for Heat of the Week during my week and you end up losing the matchup because of it, you might get an extra little ribbon. So
okay.
Keep on cooking, and we'll see you next week.
All right. See ya.
Take care.